The thought of what lies beyond life has, at some point, crossed everyone's mind. Leaving behind worldly concerns and daily worries, we often contemplate our own funerals and where our eternal resting place will be. Yet many people choose to reserve a plot for themselves beforehand, ensuring proximity to their departed relatives in the cemetery. The crucial question arises, is such an act permissible, and how might it influence one's life path? I will now unveil the mystery surrounding pre-reserved cemetery plots. For my audience, I kindly ask you to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. In practice, the motivation behind reserving a cemetery plot often stems from a desire to uphold specific family customs. Those who have laid their loved ones to rest often wish to ensure their own remains will lie beside their kin, thus maintaining a sense of closeness even beyond life. In certain nations, this practice is considered entirely normal and lawful. Cemeteries often designate specific sections for family burials. However, this custom frequently sparks numerous questions and debates. Does it inherently possess an ethical or moral flaw? The answer, most likely, resides in individual perception. For some, such a decision symbolizes an act of love and foresight, while for others, it appears as an attempt to predetermine and control one's destiny. But what do actual practices reveal? Are living individuals truly able to reserve their own final resting place? And could such an action serve as an ominous harbinger of an imminent encounter with eternity? I will now outline two distinct methods of reservation. The first approach involves reserving a cemetery plot to which only a sequential number is assigned, without any names or surnames being mentioned. The second method entails the erection of a monument displaying the birth date of the future deceased, leaving a blank space for the eventual inscription of the death date. From an esoteric perspective, the concept of reserving a cemetery plot appears significantly more intricate. Numerous esoteric practitioners assert that a strong attachment to a particular location can influence an individual's energetic equilibrium. Within the philosophy of cosmic connection, it is believed that a cemetery plot becomes imbued with energy after numerous individuals, each possessing a distinct energetic charge, have traversed it. When a living person reserves such a spot, they unwittingly generate an atmosphere of anticipation around themselves, saturating the area with their own anxious energy. It is widely held that an unwarranted preoccupation with death can generate specific karmic patterns. Esoteric teachings strongly advise against cultivating an attachment to mortality, as such actions are thought to trigger a sequence of unfortunate events and detrimental emotional states. According to the principles of energy, an individual inadvertently hastens their own transition processes to the other realm. Regarding the acceleration of one's demise, warnings exist from the spiritual plane. Numerous legends recount how energetic connections can overpower human intentions. A living person's engagement in the process of reserving a burial site is believed to generate detrimental vibrations that disrupt natural harmony and equilibrium. A subconscious attachment to an unoccupied plot can subtly draw an individual towards their desired, albeit morbid, circumstances. It is crucial to emphasize the significance of not only physical but also psychological well-being. An emotional bond to a place permeated by melancholy and sorrow creates unfortunate preconditions, unconsciously inviting events linked to illness or loss. A cemetery, in its very essence, serves as a focal point for diverse energies. Lingering vestiges of the past saturate this consecrated ground, imbuing it with a distinctive ambiance. Fear, solitude, and grief are emotions universally experienced by all who visit such a place. Energetically, this space often generates a sensation of pressure, particularly if a specific plot has been reserved in advance. An individual present at a pre-booked site might perceive a potent emotional charge. Within this energetic sphere, it is often believed that not only the departed, but also their living relatives are spiritually present. A particular location transforms into a bridge connecting different realms, profoundly impacting the destiny of those who inhabit the earth. The powerful aura emanating from such a site can influence an individual's emotional state, inducing anxiety and lending a sense of melodrama to their existence. Individuals who secure burial plots alongside their departed kin frequently do so not merely for their own future, but primarily to honor the memory of those who have already passed on. Their unspoken message is often, "I will forever remain close." Yet, within this yearning for proximity, an element of self-interest often lies concealed, coupled with a deep sorrow for what has been lost and a reluctance to truly let go. Consequently, the underlying purpose of this act appears inherently contradictory. It represents, on one hand, an ardent desire to perpetuate love and connection, while on the other, a profound resistance to accepting life's natural progression. This intricate interplay of emotions encompasses a myriad of subtleties. Securing a burial plot in a cemetery can, for some, serve to intensify their suffering, yet for others it stands as a heartfelt demonstration of love. Perhaps the answer to this complex dilemma is profoundly intertwined with individual philosophies concerning the nature of life and the visage of death. When confronted with the unavoidable reality of mortality, individuals exhibit diverse responses. Some endeavor to ease the transition into the unknown, while others opt for the stark truth and pragmatic acceptance of reality. However, an alternative form of reservation involves erecting a memorial stone inscribed with the birth date of the prospective deceased, leaving a blank space where the date of death will eventually be added. Is such an act appropriate for those still living? This arguably represents an unusual encroachment upon the very concept of mortality. In their quest to secure a purported eternal abode, a living individual inadvertently transgresses the unseen boundaries linking them to the spiritual realm. The premature erection of such memorials is often interpreted as a direct challenge to higher powers, and many spiritual practitioners indeed assert that this practice may invite adverse outcomes. Significantly, across diverse religious traditions, the ground where the deceased repose is revered as hallowed. It commands profound respect and veneration. When a living individual attempts to assimilate into this hallowed domain prematurely, they, in essence, disrupt the delicate equilibrium between life and death. By undertaking such a deed, one succumbs to self-deception, consoling themselves with the notion of having fashioned a nest for future repose. However, this very illusion possesses the potential to yield an entirely inverse outcome. This unwarranted urge to exert control over one's destiny can engender inner turmoil, acute apprehension, and even manifest as various physical ailments. A pre-reserved vacant plot in a cemetery is far more than mere soil. It represents an energetic construct intrinsically linked to a particular individual and their entire lineage. Spiritual thinkers posit that such a site gradually comes alive, imbued with the expectation and the aura of its future occupant. One's disposition towards this location, coupled with persistent contemplations on mortality and demise, consistently manifests within the living individual's reality. This creates a purported psychic conduit, which enables the energies of one's ancestors to impact the living individual's existence. An individual who has secured a burial plot often starts experiencing despondency, lethargy, or even profound fears intimately linked to mortality. These sentiments are further exacerbated by subconscious premonitions and nocturnal apparitions that surface in their dreams. The vibrancy imbued within the reserved plot functions as an attractor, drawing in the apprehensions and even the life path of the individual concerned. While many might perceive such a choice as simply preparing for the unavoidable, it actually exerts a detrimental impact on an individual's psychological well-being and overall life. A persistent sense of despair and heightened apprehension can even culminate in psychosomatic ailments that defy explanation from the perspective of traditional medicine. What then is the appropriate response? To secure a cemetery plot or refrain? The optimal approach suggests securing the plot solely through official documentation, yet refraining from inscribing your personal details upon the actual gravestone. The most ill-advised scenario involves erecting a memorial stone for oneself or another living individual, complete with the birth date of the prospective deceased and a vacant area awaiting the date of their passing. Furthermore, under no circumstances should living flora ever be planted upon such a makeshift, pre-reserved burial mound. The matter of reserving a final resting place is far from simple. It instead invites profound philosophical and emotional inquiry into the very nature of life, death, and the enigmatic space that lies between them. This decision demands a deep awareness of one's moral readiness and a reverent respect for those who have already passed. Paradoxically, guaranteeing oneself a spot in eternity can unwittingly ensnare an individual in a perpetual cycle of anxieties and dread. Such a preoccupation not only robs the present moment of its joy, but also cultivates new difficulties for the future. To perpetually dwell on the concept of one's eventual grave means closing oneself off from many of life's opportunities. For every anxious rumination on mortality risks nurturing the nascent seed of further apprehension. Life, ultimately, is not a realm where the specter of eternity should be invited.